that trophy back. So now tell me, sugar, what's next?
I'm giving it to the winner of Super Bowl 29.
Welcome back to WD Magiccast for the week of February 5th, 2023. This is episode 214. WD Magiccast, the show about the mouse, the Marvels, the galaxy, and beyond. I'm your host, Matthew Gracon. In this week's show, Dave and I sit back and talk some football. Not just any football specifically, but the halftime shows that Disney produced for the Super Bowl. Do you know when they started doing halftime shows, Disney I'm saying, for the NFL? Find out, and you'll see. And what was the last one? Again, just sit back, enjoy the show, and I think you may learn a few things. That aside, I did put that survey out there. Which was your favorite Walt Disney World Cirque show? La Nuba, Drawn to Life, both of them, or neither of them? And I have to say I'm actually kind of surprised. And if you didn't catch last week's episode, go back and listen, and you'll catch Dave and I's our thoughts on the two Cirque shows that have been at Walt Disney World. Because 33% of you said La Nuba. 67% of you said neither of them. And hey, you spoke, you vote, that was the vote, you voted, and that's what you had to say. Like I said, I'm kind of a little surprised on that one, but that's just my take on it. And the votes are in, the votes have spoken. I have nothing to say about that. But if you do, email us or join the conversation on Facebook, or better yet, I'm putting the challenge out there to you. Tell us your thoughts of either why neither of them were good, why this one was good, why that one was good, or why they were both good. Record a message. Keep it clean. Record a message and email it to us at email@wdmagiccast.com, and I will put them on the show. Unedited, as long as it's clean. Unedited, family-friendly, unedited, put it on the show. Let's get your conversation on this part. And also, we have a very interesting poll question in this episode that I want your take on too. Again, let us know. Send in what you have to say to email@wdmagiccast.com, and I will put you on the show with what you have to say. And on that bombshell, we'll be back after these words from our friends and sponsors.
Hey Matthew, Jim Hill here. I do the Marvelous Disney podcast with Aaron Adams over at the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network. I know, very humble sounding name. Anyway, I really enjoy what you've been doing over on the Disney Marvels podcast, but as you probably already noticed, the Marvel Us Disney and the Disney Marvels podcast names are very, very similar, which is why I imagine I keep getting mail for you. That's actually why I'm calling today. I wanted to know what you'd like me to do with all of these Yankee Candle catalogs, so please get back to me. And keep up the great work with the Disney Marvels podcast.
Thank you for those kind words, Jim. And make sure to check out Jim Hill on the Marvel Us Disney podcast with Aaron Adams to find out all sorts of wonderful things about Disney, well, Marvel, particularly what's going on with them. And Jim, those catalogs, I'll make sure to give you the forwarding address. And unless if you want to order something, go right ahead. And once again, make sure to check out Marvel Us Disney with Jim Hill and Aaron Adams wherever you find or listen to your podcasts. And now, on with the show. It's that time of the year here in America. and supposedly, from what we're told, around the world too, watches the National Football League's Super Bowl, where the two top teams from the two divisions come together to duke it out. And some people watch the games, more people watch the commercials, and a lot of people always talk about the halftime show. Now, if you're not familiar or you haven't been watching as long, that you realize that Disney does have a connection with the Super Bowl because for many years, going way back to the 80s, you've had players, and this started in 1987, players say those famous words, and Disney makes a whole series of commercials saying, I'm going to Disney World or I'm going to Disneyland. But it didn't start in 1987. In fact, it started a decade before that. Disney has been part of the Super Bowl since the 70s, since the very first Super Bowl show back at Super Bowl 11. And for someone that's been around and part of the Super Bowl for all those years, Dave has joined me to talk football on a Disney podcast because it has to do with Disney. Dave, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for aging me.
We're not going to say that maybe you were ball running for the Green Bay Packers in Super Bowl I. We're not going to put it out there as that. Okay. But maybe you were.
Yes, but I've been alive for all of the Disney Super Bowl halftime shows. Whether I watched them or not when I was alive at that point is another story, though.
So have I. Well, yes. Almost. Yeah, so something that I came up with, we were talking about, I'm like, you know what? Let's do, I know Disney's done a few halftime shows. Little did I know that it goes back to Super Bowl 11. And thanks to modern technology, we're able to watch these. Mm-hmm. So we both sat down, we checked them out, and I have to say it's very interesting how far we've come and how maybe in some ways we've gone backwards. But
it's possible, but could that just be who's producing these events?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like Disney's going to put on a show, whereas if it's a non-Disney halftime show, it's not going to be as good. It depends on who's producing these things,
Oh, yes. Definitely indeed. Definitely indeed. And, the signs of times and stuff going on. The one couple years ago, no one in the stadium. There's very little people that could actually be part of it. They did what they could. So it varies. It all depends on who, like you said, who's production, who's involved in it. Is going to switch things up. Still, I think Michael Jackson was probably one of the better ones, and that has nothing to do with Disney. But right. the ones that they did do, it's quite interesting, and to see the progression through the years. Mm-hmm. The Super Bowl in itself has become more grandiose over time, as far as the overall show and production value that is that happens that one Sunday every year.
Well, they want to keep the eyes. They want to keep the eyes on the screen on them. So.
Indeed, and as it becomes more popular, it's easier to become, again, more grandiose, become bigger, and just more of a hoopla and more of a spectacle.
Right, because if I remember correctly, I don't know if it was 90s or early 2000s, wasn't there there would be other events that were happening, like somebody else would be having a Super Bowl halftime show to try to pull you away from watching the regular Super Bowl halftime show. You know what I mean? So I guess the Super Bowl people are going, no, we're going to put on a fantastic show to stop people from going over to that other station or whatever.
There might have been. You've been watching the Super Bowls a lot longer than I have.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking like MTV. I think MTV had like a halftime show. I don't know if it was Beavis and Butthead or something. I'm just trying to remember. I think
they would do something. I remember. I think Fox would occasionally, if they didn't have the Super Bowl that year, they would put on
the Bud Bowl. Didn't they have the Bud Ball?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's right. They forgot about those. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, they would do. There would be other stations putting on some sort of production because it was relatively a timed event. So you would know when to start it, and it's 15 minutes or so. So you know how long to run it. It's very easy to structure a programming block to suit your own agenda.
Right. Yeah, because you couldn't do it because you can't count on when a commercial break's going to be. So it's not like you can time your show during a commercial break. You know when the halftime's coming, so you can always pop your event on as soon as it as soon as the quarter goes 0-0.
Yeah, you know when the first half is over, you know when pretty much approximately when to start it. Like I said, it's going to be 15 minutes, and if you run a little long and you keep people off of the other one. That's okay too in your network size.
Right. Well, let me ask you then real quick. Have you, for every Super Bowl that you've watched, have you watched every halftime show?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I can absolutely say no. There's been a few that I was busy at the buffet table or something, getting myself a drink or
right.
Sometimes I will entertain it and wonder why. Other times I will entertain it and enjoy it. Last year's you really enjoyed. I didn't watch because it wasn't my thing. There's been a couple of others that I remember like, oh, this is the performer. All right, not my thing.
Yeah, again, it goes back to who they sign and which age demographic is going to like that group, I think, because those would be like, say if they put AC/DC up there, the older generation are going to want to watch that AC/DC halftime show. If they put, I don't know, who's a younger artist, a popular artist, Katy Perry or somebody, I don't know, somebody new and current. You put her on there, you might get the youngers, the 28.
Little Nas, is that a person? I
don't know.
I think one of the ones that, again, it was a non-Disney production one, but that I think was for its time a smart choice when they had Aerosmith and NSYNC. So you had two extremes of the generation gap to be able to pull in. So you had some of the older people who grew up in the 70s and 80s listening to Aerosmith, and then you had the younger crowd who would listen to the NSYNC. This was early 2000s, performing together during the halftime. So, I think that marketing wise, that was smart.
Yes.
Then you had ones like, I don't want to pick on this year's, but this year's with Rihanna, it's like, for me, doesn't do anything for me. So I will be less inclined to want to pay attention. I mean, not saying that she won't put on a great show and it won't be something quite enjoyable, but it's not something that, in my mind, going into it, is a definitive thing that I am, all excited for.
Right. Even with the infamous Janet Jackson Super Bowl halftime show, that one it was Jessica Simpson, Janet Jackson, P. Diddy, Nelly, Kid Rock, Justin Timberlake. That's a whole bunch of different artists together.
That's a lot of different genres being able to pull it together. And again, that's more pulls in more people, more spectacle. And unfortunately, I think, like you said, with the accident that happened that year,
right,
caused the NFL to pump the brakes on such wildness and trying to go a lot more conservative.
Right, and I mean their next two was Paul McCartney and the Rolling Stones. So I mean you can't really get any more conservative than those two groups right after, Yeah,
and it's not saying that it's necessarily a bad thing because Paul McCartney was enjoyable for me.
Right. No, but it's safe. They went safe instead.
Very safe. Very safe. And then they had Bruno Mars. Not too long after that, that was, again, to me, that was enjoyable. I like Bruno Mars. I'm trying to think of the ones that they've had after that.
Lady Gaga, Justin Timberlake, Maroon 5.
Yeah. Yeah, well, but they're sticking with the one artist thing again.
Yeah.
Except for last year.
Except for last year, last year was Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick, and Lamar.
But all in that same genre, though. They didn't spread the genres out.
Right.
It's that all R&B.
Yeah, true. It's that one
hip hop type of thing. It's not like where you said before. Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson, Jessica Simpson. I guess those are more of the pop stars, but.
But what I did notice is that the Disney Super Bowls, they kind of ran every 3 to 4 years apart. They did from Super Bowl 11 to Super Bowl 34. So that would year 2000. So it's been 23 years since Disney had a Super Bowl. I wonder if there was like a reason for that. Was it because they couldn't afford it? They couldn't afford the sponsorship for it? Because I guess Pepsi had a monopoly on it, looked like.
Could have been. I'm not exactly sure because the last two. So they did, just for everyone's just to say up front. So we have Super Bowl 11, Super Bowl 18, 21, 25, 39. 29 and 34.
Right.
The last two, so 29 and 34, were both on ABC.
Right. That may have something to do because they rotate the Super Bowl, don't they, on certain channels?
Right.
Certain stations.
And I think it's been a while since ABC's had a Super Bowl. Now, with the most recent negotiations, the ESPN, Disney, ABC will be getting Super Bowls back, but not till 2026 and 2030. So it's still going to be a while. Will we see something at that point? Now,
That's
also, has there been anything for them to promote during the halftime? So the last one that they did, which is 34, was the year 2000 when Disney was doing the Millennium Celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Now you could argue they had last year they could have done the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there stuff they could have done? Absolutely.
Can you imagine if they would have done a 50th halftime show? Oh, they dropped the ball on that, man.
There's a number of things they dropped the ball with there, Dave, on the 50th celebration. That would have been. I dare to dream what that could have been.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that could have been quite spectacular, but the world will never know, and it'll be left to our imaginations.
So, I mean, I don't know if you know the answer to this. So, depending on what channel it is on, depends on who can actually play on that.
I don't think so, but they may get some sort of influence or input. A lot of it, I think, has to do with the sponsorship too, because, like, if you look at the ones this year for Rihanna,
mm-hmm.
where it's presented or Rihanna's brought to you by Apple Music or whichever division.
Apple Music,
yeah. So they're hyping the sponsor over as the one to bring you this presenter.
Mm-hmm.
Is that necessarily the case? I'm not sure, because I know the NFL has a lot of say on who's going to be their halftime show. They're the ones that announce it initially. So how this all comes about, we're not in the room when it happens.
E-Trade. I was just looking at when Disney, in 2000, Disney was the producer. The sponsor was E-Trade. So it's not like Disney has to be the sponsor as well in order.
No, they're not. And even the one before that, it was it was Tostitos.
It doesn't say on my Wikipedia. It usually does, but that wasn't it.
Yeah, the one before that, I believe, was Tostitos.
Mm.
Because I saw a few carefully placed signs that would show up right in the perfect camera shot.
Yeah, the 99 one was the sponsor was Walt Disney World, the Coca-Cola company.
Right.
So they had both on that one, but all right. But I mean, if they own Fox and if they're a part of Fox now and it's on Fox, you would think they could throw a halftime show.
That actually they're not. That's now technically a different Fox.
Mm.
It's not 20th Century Fox that it was beforehand. The television network was not part of the deal.
Oh, really? Okay.
Right. So the production end of this stuff from 20th Century Fox Studios, so the people who produce the shows like The Simpsons, Family Guy, American Dad, Parker Lewis Can't Lose, that type of stuff, because that was a Fox production. That was part of the sale. That was because it was from the studios.
Mhm.
That was part of the deal. But to prevent a monopoly, the Fox Sports was brought into the deal, but immediately had to be sold. And the Fox network still retains autonomy, just like Fox News. Fox News is separate, the part of the channel that's now what do they call themselves? Fox. They formed their own side company. So they're their own.
So basically, so in other words, Disney just bought like their shows and stuff, and they left all the network stuff is still the network stuff. It's not a part of Disney.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah,
did not know that.
Yeah, that's still all separate. Basically, they bought the studio end of it.
Right. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Because that's probably where most of the money's going to come in. So.
Exactly. You know, especially nowadays with the question mark of the viability for terrestrial TV. Why bring in another one wherever you're still trying to figure, worrying about dealing with your one.
Mm-hmm.
But if you hold IP rights in a studio, there's a lot more to that.
So with the deal that I guess ESPN, they get how many is there? There's
two listed.
Oh, 2 Super Bowls. That's right. Yeah, 2026 and 2030 they'll get.
Yeah, so we got 3 in 7 years to see that. But that's including. I mean, there's a lot more to that agreement too, being that ESPN Plus to stream one exclusive national game annually, beginning at the 2022 season, getting in 2023 season, the annual divisional round games, in addition to the existing wildcard games, a 35% more regular season games, so 23 each. They'll get 23 games each season spread across ESPN, ABC, and ESPN Plus. And their main show, the Monday Night Football, stays with ESPN and ABC, and they'll get more top team appearances with the introduction of flex scheduling starting week 12 and beyond. So that way, as you can see which teams are doing better, they can flex them and move them. So you get priority of potentially better games on Monday night versus two teams that have no potential.
Yeah. Right. But the
Both
NFL
teams have lost every single game, and they're going at it.
Yeah.
Someone may win.
2 teams nobody wants to watch. But I'm just curious, like what I wonder, because it'll be 26 years by the time they get that. What kind of production that are they preparing now already for? Because it's 3 years from now. Are they already like getting plans made?
They might be. I mean, I could imagine it being almost a bidding process.
Mm-hmm.
Here's our idea. Here's how much money we're putting into it. How money how much money we're asking for you. This is the market share that we're targeting. Yeah, it's a whole big business proposal. It's not just going to go, all right, here's your halftime show. Here's the contract. Sign it. Done.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's okay. We could do this. We could do that. We could do this. We could do that. And the NFL sits down. Their marketing team goes, okay, where do we want to focus? Because again, besides, I will almost dare to say the football game in itself is third in the viewing options. Because you ask everybody and they'll say, oh, I mean, I'd like watching the commercials. Oh, I just watched a halftime show.
Yeah, because if your team's not in it, you're less likely to know the teams, the players, and all that stuff like that. So you're just gonna go and watch how many millions of dollars these people spent on putting their commercials on.
Just like you do every year.
Exactly. And not every year. I remember correctly. I don't know if it was like 2 years ago or whatever. The commercials were like they were depressing, or you just didn't want to watch them. I'm like, what happened to the comedy?
That's a topic for another time, but I definitely say I don't think the standards on the commercials have been up to par either recently.
Right. Exactly.
Especially since you can watch a lot of the commercials ahead of time too.
Yep.
So it's not you're seeing it for the first time.
Right.
To me now, the more exciting ones are whenever they have the movie releases.
Yeah, the new releases. Yeah.
It's like, okay, first time exclusive look, extended trailers, throwing it there versus some of the other commercials that have become it's almost like, okay, we know this is going to just become a normal run of the mill commercial, so we're just going to plus it a little bit and just leave it as it is because we got the people watching. We don't care.
Yeah, exactly. The eyes are
We're
there.
not going to put any more into it.
Yeah. But no, you're right. It's the commercials, then the Super Bowl halftime show, and then probably the game itself. Again, depending on if your team is in it or not.
Right.
And
sometimes even if your team is in it.
Yeah, true. Because who knows, San Francisco, what happened with them in the NFC Championship game. And if they're out, their quarterback gets hurt within 5 minutes of the game, then you're getting blown out. And then you're like, okay, I'm switching to the commercials.
Yep. Let's see what's on Turner Classic at the moment.
Yeah. But the NFL has to be one of the hardest leagues to get a contract with to do anything because everybody's probably trying to get a hold of them to advertise, to do halftime shows, to do whatever, So to land a deal with them, you got to be throwing some serious cash at them, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's because you consider the market share that the game allegedly brings in. The thousands and millions of people around the world that are watching this, that it's it is a draw for companies to want to get a part of the action, which I think in some ways this also influences, going back to the commercials, why the commercials have changed is because a lot of the company's money goes into, instead of producing the commercials, to buying the spot. Because I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but how many millions of dollars a 30 to 90 second spot costs, that comes out of your production value.
Yeah.
So, that's the millions that you could put into a commercial. And as weird it is to say a commercial costs millions of dollars, but they don't come free.
No.
So to produce a commercial, to produce a halftime show, to produce anything, involves money on top of the money that you have had to put up to pay to buy into having the rights for that time and for that slot. So how you have to think of it is you have all these other commercials the rest of the game. During timeouts and between quarters, there's all these other segments that are 30 to 45 seconds long. The halftime show, you have to think of it this way. And I think that this segue into talking about the ones that we that we watched.
Right.
The halftime show in itself is a 15-minute long commercial.
Mm-hmm. True.
Because you have somebody's name being, some company's name is being flaunted around.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this year being Apple Music. Again, we've had Tostitos, E-Trade, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Avis Rent-A-Car, whoever.
Bridgestone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that corporation's name being talked about, flaunted, shown in a number of creative ways for 15 minutes with a celebrity, with hoopla, with pizzazz, versus a 30-second commercial which with a celebrity, hoopla, and pizzazz, and the name being flaunted around.
Mm-hmm.
You get a 15-minute commercial.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what the halftime show is. It is become, or what it's become. It's a 15-minute commercial. So of course that's going to be the most expensive thing. So you have to pay into buy the bid, to buy this, say we are going to do the halftime show. You're paying the NFL X amount of millions, let's say. It could be even more than that, of dollars. Then you have to fork up the money to put on the show.
Yeah.
So it is quite the expensive proposition.
To get the artist to perform, to get
get whoever's performing,
yeah.
to the stage, the choreography, the pyrotechnics, the special effects, the director, the producer. It's a live commercial put on for 15 minutes, which entails everything that you would need for a regular commercial, plus a few extras.
And I wonder, because I don't have the statistics obviously in front of me, but I wonder if that dumping all that money actually into a Super Bowl halftime show actually pays out in the end. Like all those years Pepsi had it. Did they profit off of getting their name out there? I mean, everybody knows Pepsi, but did that help? You know what I'm saying?
It can't. I at no point do I think it hurt them.
Right. True.
Unless if there's a fiasco. But
right.
Even then, there's two schools of thought of thinking if there's a fiasco like there was the one year, is, oh my goodness, our name's attached to that. How do we bury it? Or hey, everyone's talking about it even more. And more
True.
people are now going back and watching it that didn't watch it the first time because of this.
Right.
So there's the two schools of thoughts. Like there's the old saying that there's no such thing as bad press. Because
true.
If there's something bad happen, well, more people are talking about you, so you become even more in the forefront of people's minds.
Right.
Even if it's not for a good thing.
True.
So
because I mean that's at the water cooler again. I can't the Janet Jackson Super Bowl because that's where like that was like the moment of the Super Bowl.
That really was.
It was bad press for those that produced it or whatever, but it got everybody talking about the Super Bowl halftime show. You know what I mean? So it's like, which way do you want to look at that one?
And you go back and people rewatch it and they see more of the advertising and they're looking for the event,
right? But
they still see the sponsorship stuff,
right? Exactly.
So anyway, going back, and this actually goes right to my point. So Super Bowl 11, which you said happened in
1977.
1977. It was themed around "It's a Small World," and the performers was a college marching band, which I couldn't tell you which one it was off the top of my head, but it had the New Mouseketeers. And would you like to know what the very interesting thing about having the New Mouseketeers on Super Bowl 11 in January of 1977?
What's that? No idea.
The new Musketeer show, Mickey Mouse Club, the new Mickey Mouse Club with the Musketeers, debuted a couple weeks earlier in January of 1977.
Ah, how about that?
Again, like I said, it's a 15-minute commercial.
Yeah. And that was, by the way, the band. It was the Los Angeles Unified All-City Band with the new Musketeers at the. Oh, yeah, that was
because that show was that Super Bowl happened to be in California.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California.
It wasn't even actually in a. Well, I guess one of the teams was in the Rose Bowl. Was someone utilized? No, I don't think anyone was utilizing the Rose Bowl as their home stadium at that point. I digress.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they would have had the Super Bowl there if somebody was actually playing that same day.
Well, no. I'm just saying, now it's at someone's stadium.
Oh, right. Now it's like it's at an NFL stadium now, but just rotated. I got that. I know what you mean. Back then, back then they probably could use. I guess they didn't have the neutral field stadiums that they used. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a different time, man. That was.
Yeah, well, because I think that the original Super Bowl, that was not at one of the team's stadium. It was at a neutral location.
Super Bowl I in 1967 was at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum.
Right.
Yeah.
The Rams weren't there yet, I don't believe.
No, I don't think so either.
Could
be wrong.
But anyway, so we jump ahead 7 years to Super Bowl. Well, first of all, did you watch the Super Bowl 11?
Yes, I did.
Show?
Yeah.
As we said before we started recording, we do have to take this with a corrective vision, considering the times and everything like that. And that was a for what we're used to seeing now for our halftime show. It was very basic and very stripped down. There wasn't much. You had the Musketeers on a stage at the front, dancing and singing. You had the marching bands performing on the field behind them with banners forming different shapes. And I personally couldn't figure out what the shapes were.
I couldn't either, to be honest. I think we would have to been born in that, be a little bit older and born around that time to know what that was all about. I could be wrong, but I couldn't pinpoint it, man.
No. They were just forming shapes with the different banners and stuff. It was a decent enough show. But we also have to remember the halftime shows of then were not the halftime shows of now, and we will get to this.
Yeah, and the technology wasn't as good either, man.
Well, this is true. And also pointing out, it was the middle of the day.
Yeah.
It was the middle of the day. Where you fast forward just 7 years to Super Bowl 18, Salute to the Silver Screen, where it was a production. They were talking. It was celebrating movies and the history, and this one was on CBS. The recorder I saw pointed out that it happened to be on a CBS Super Bowl, that Disney was producing the halftime show, and they promised to be the best Super Bowl halftime show to date at that point. And I'm not saying that's spectacular, in that I've seen all the 17 ones that happened before that, but just seeing the one that happened before that, yes, it probably was part of the best Super Bowl halftime shows to date. This was what,
1984.
84.
And once again, they had the marching bands. It was the University of Florida and Florida State Universities.
But you had the Disney characters too.
Right. They were involved. They were mixed in too. Yes.
And some other production stuff. So there was a lot more. There was some dancers and not actors, but there was a lot of dancers and performers mixed in with the marching band. So there was a lot more going on. There was multiple stages,
right? And
I think fireworks.
And it's like I'd have to watch I'd have to go back and watch a current halftime show, but it just seems like they used every inch of the football field with
Yes.
all of, you know what I mean? So it's like, I did notice that they left no space unturned out there.
No. And it was definitely, again, only 7 years had passed.
Mhm.
I'm saying only 7 years, but 7 years had passed from the last one that they did to that one, and how much it had grown in that time, as far as the production value
Mhm.
and the performance and the grandeur of it. So now from there, we go to 21.
Mhm.
So
1987.
3 years later.
Yep, 1987.
So
Is that
87.
back at the Rose Bowl?
Back at the Rose Bowl for the 100th anniversary to Hollywood. I know I watched this one. I can't tell you what happened though.
Yeah, I know.
So it goes to show you how memorable it was. It was almost, I want to say it was very similar to the prior one.
Yeah, it had them again. It's the, what did it say here? Grambling State University and USC marching bands and Disney characters. And they had Southern California area high school drill teams and dancers. And apparently George Burns and Mickey Rooney were there too. That's what.
Okay. I know I watched this one, but for whatever reason, out of the 6 of them, this is the one I remember the least amount.
So you're not going to say this one was your favorite then? Out of the 6?
No, I don't think this one's going to go. Hey, am I surprising you? No.
Right.
This one, I don't remember that one as much.
Mhm.
4 years later, they're back at it again for Super Bowl 25. And this has got to have the longest title, per se. It was, not that it had a specific title, but the description of it was Walt Disney World presents the first all kids performance in salute to our armed forces and the 25th anniversary of the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
That's a lot to package into 15 minutes. This one actually felt long.
Yeah.
Like it felt like it was probably longer than it wasn't, but it felt like they took. All right, you're giving us 13 minutes because you have to end cap it with commercials and commentary. We're gonna take all 13 minutes and try and squeak out a few extra seconds in there.
Right, but look who they had. I mean, they had New Kids on the Block, where in '91, if I remember correctly, New Kids on the Block
they were big.
They were big back then. So.
And I said to my wife, "I know you watched this one." She's like, "I do not remember this." I said,
she had to have seen it.
I didn't tell her why until they showed up in the last 3 minutes of it.
Mhm.
She's like, "I probably only watched this segment because I don't remember the rest." Well, not only did you have New Kids on the Block, you had children of serving soldiers there representing their parents. You had a couple pictures of soldiers in this time Desert Shield. You had President George H.W. Bush and Barbara Bush saying a salute. You had the entire audience involved with, I think, cards or hats or something to form a red, white, and blue star-spangled flag across the entire stadium.
Yeah.
Again, you had kids performing off across the entire football field. You had Disney characters coming on. A song that would not be able to be allowed to perform nowadays.
Yep. Again, times have changed.
Yeah, something. Oh, it was along. In case if you are not interested in watching, it was something along the lines that, to get the girl, you have to be a football star.
Yeah.
So that was but hey, one of my most beloved favorite Disney characters was in Roger Rabbit was there. You had quite the range of music besides the new kids performing at the end, but you had the characters performing Can't Touch This and You could Did You Know You're My Hero, and a few other songs.
Yeah.
I
miss the 90s, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
the 90s were that was my decade, man.
So I mean, that was, again, compared to now the three others that happened before it. This was definitely the most grandiose, spectacular, quite spectacle of them all. Like, you had a lot going on, and it was a show. It wasn't like just a performance of an artist. It was a show.
Yeah.
And that it was quite something, and the way that they did it. And the kids that they had were all local area too. There was that one. If I remember correctly, 25 took place in Tampa, right?
Tampa Stadium. Yep.
Yep. So it was all local kids that they pulled in.
Yeah, so 2,000 local children
got to perform during the halftime show.
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah. Well, you look at that field. It took a lot to.
Yeah. But no, hey, again, it was sponsored from Disney, produced by Disney. They knew it was the 25th, so they swung big, man. So
yeah. So and they covered a lot of ground, from celebrating the NFL to honoring the soldiers to talking about the kids and talking about the world and peace and
in a way, I wonder if that Super Bowl was like that halftime show changed, because I'm trying to look at the previous ones before it, if it changed the direction of the halftime shows.
And very well might have, because
I'm not really seeing anything big before that would have really changed it. And just that one right there seems to be the one, because after that you got Gloria Estefan, Michael Jackson, now you're starting to get the big shows in.
Right. You got a lot more people wanting to be involved in it and seeing, oh, this is what a halftime show can be and do for.
Yeah.
Where before it was just, okay, here's the local college marching band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're going to throw in a couple balloons for good measure. But yeah, that one, they even had the inflatables at the end of maybe 15, 20-foot inflatables of the characters show up at the end of this.
And what's funny, I think it was the 77 halftime show. I think they had the balloons that they just cut and let go out in space, out into the the atmosphere. And I'm sitting there going, that would not fly today in 2023. Yeah. Why did you just pollute the air?
Well, I think maybe it was the 84 one where they released the doves and you watch the birds flying around the stadium.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, somebody's you gotta put yourself in where that time frame. It's just it was a different world then, man.
Yes, it was.
So, and then the next one was 29.
29. So 4 years again. And this one, I couldn't figure out what the title was or what the theme was. So all I have is Adventure with Indiana Jones.
That's what Wikipedia has. Like, when it was going, I was trying to think of what was out at that time. So I thought it was when it began, I thought it was like a Lion King thing. And I know they ended with Lion King.
Yes.
But then like what this is saying, it was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Forbidden Eye. That's what it has listed here. So
what year was that?
1995, and it was at Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami.
95.
When it had. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You say your part, because I'm looking something up.
When did Lion King come out? It was around that time.
No, Lion King came out around that time. No, there's another movie that I am.
So, but this, okay, so you looked that up. It had Patti LaBelle. Okay. It had Teddy Pendergrass, Tony Bennett, Arturo Sandoval, and the Miami Sound Machine. And of course, it had the Indiana Jones. I don't know if that was from the parks, but they had the Indiana Jones character there too.
It looks very much like the Indiana Jones that you would find in Disney at that point. that was like the 6th anniversary of Disney MGM Studios, which is now Disney Hollywood Studios.
Right.
No, I was trying to figure out when if it was near the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but that's 89. So it wasn't that.
I wonder, were they trying to promote the park? You know what I mean? To get people to go to that? I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Probably. Yeah, 2008's Crystal Skull, so definitely not that one.
But for me, this one caught my eye, the 95 one. You know, I don't know why, but it just did.
Again, it's not a performance. It was a show with performances in it, and smartly done it. I like they got the Lombardi Trophy, which is the trophy that you win if you win the Super Bowl. Involved in it. That's what Indiana Jones is getting. Again, you saw the sponsorship, on tabletops and stuff. So you had smattered around. Indiana Jones and Marion come flying in on parachutes into the stadium. Again, notching up the spectacle of the show value in performances. And I mean, it was a short little movie performed right there. You had the bad guy, you had the treasure, you had going from set to set to set, and you had the musical performances worked around it. It is mind-blowing that they were able to come up with something like that.
Yeah, I know. I agree. But it's like, I wonder why. I mean, I get it. Like other artists and stuff, they're not going to do that kind of halftime show. But you would think that why wasn't it done more? Like it was just Disney that would do that. Like, why didn't other acts try to incorporate that?
Or other studios? Why isn't Universal,
exactly.
Warner Brothers, MGM at the time trying to get in on doing something like this? And my simple answer is because they're not Disney. They don't have the resources and the teams that are putting on shows in theme parks and around the world and at stages and West End and Broadway and traveling shows, which at that point they weren't even doing that, but they still had the productions going on at the parks. And to be able to, because they put on parades, they put on shows, they put on performances every day at their parks. So this is taking that and just expanding it to a slightly bigger stage with a higher budget. It's a one-time performance.
Right.
So that would be my biased and simple answer on that one.
Because, I mean, it's different to just put, like say Diana Ross was the next one. So you're just throwing Diana Ross out on the stage. Again, I'd have to go back and look. But if it's just her on a stage singing with dancers around her, that's one thing. That's just, you're looking at Diana Ross for 15 minutes.
Right.
I can go on YouTube or something and watch her for 15, put on a show. I want to see, I don't know if that's the right thing to say, because maybe her just singing is the show, is a performance, but if you're going to draw everybody in as opposed to just Diana Ross fans, you're going to need an eye-popping show. You know what I'm saying?
You need more.
Right. Exactly.
And this was definitely more.
Right.
And then the final one being the Super Bowl 34 took place 2000, which was the Millennium Celebration, where they took the Illuminations Reflection of Earth performances that were happening in Epcot and translated that to the Super Bowl with the Reflection of Nation parade. They had that happening there. They had the orchestra performing the music. You had the artists, what artists were performing that? It was Christina Aguilera, Enrique Iglesias.
Yeah, Phil Collins, Christina Aguilera, Enrique Iglesias, Tony Braxton, and an 80-person choir from the Georgia State University. Then Edward James Olmos was the narrator.
Yes. And again, just taking it and pushing it up a notch even further. With projections on the field and the stages and again orchestra around there, the characters, the performances, the hand in hand song from Illuminations, Enrique Iglesias and Christina Aguilera performing it. Phil Collins performing stuff from Tarzan, I believe it was.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. It again, the spectacle and pushing it up a notch again from the prior one, was quite incredible. And I watched that because that was the most recent one. Yes, it's 23 years ago, but it was only 23 years ago, and I can't really say I've seen much to that level since then. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Nah. Because just looking at the artists, no. It's all mainstream artists and stuff that go on there, and I don't remember ever being blown away from the halftime show. And if you told me Disney had the halftime show, I would probably watch it. But 9 times out of 10, if it was an artist that I was not interested in, I didn't watch the halftime show from then on, from 2000 on. You know what I'm saying? So, like, just for instance, like I told you, the 90s was my jam. Like all those hip hop artists and stuff that I heard were on last year. I'm like, I wanted to see them because I wanted to see who was on there, who exactly they had, what songs they were playing. And for me, it was awesome. But I'm not going to watch Maroon 5. I've heard some of their songs, but they're not my following. So
same with me.
Yeah,
the Weeknd. It's like, all right, I know I could maybe name you one song.
Right.
But other than that, I felt bad for him considering the situation that he was put into. But again, it wasn't anything like.
Yeah, it hasn't really been, because I'm looking at, it's all been single artists. It's been.
We had a couple since then. Because after that, because that was 2000. So after that, you did have the Aerosmith in Sync.
Aerosmith in Sync, yeah, but then it was U2. U2 was in 2002, and then you had Shania Twain and No Doubt was in 03.
Okay, so you got 2 there, and that's country and
then the infamous Janet Jackson group.
And then from there, just
it was just Paul McCartney, reset. Rolling Stones, Prince, Tom Petty, Bruce Springsteen, Black Eyed Peas, Madonna, Beyonce, Bruno Mars, Katy Perry, Coldplay, Lady Gaga, Justin Timberlake, Maroon 5. It's all, yeah.
Yeah. And Coldplay, from what I remember, tried to do a slightly bigger show. I mean, a lot of them tried to do a bigger show, but none have been, in my point of view, the spectacles of some of these Disney halftime shows.
Right. Yeah.
So,
but we could be biased. We could be biased because we would prefer those kind of halftime shows.
Yeah, I mean that's again, that's my view. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. But you're having multiple artists and you're having an actual show. It's not just a concert. It's not a 15-minute concert.
Right.
It is a 15-minute show with performances, with dancers and actors and music, and the whole field is taken up, and the audience gets involved, and theme, and there's just so much. I mean, take a moment, go back and watch some of these, and even if you're not into the football has nothing to necessarily do with any of it. It happens. It's a show that takes place during a football game, but it's not a show about football. Even the 39 one. Well, not the 39, the 25. It does have a football theme to it, but it's not a football. It's not specifically about football.
Right.
It is a good performance. It's nice that we have the technology that we could easily access these and go back and watch them.
Yeah.
And you can tell that it's been viewed on VHS because you have that little line at the bottom.
Squiggly line, yeah.
So,
but hey, but kudos to all these artists that are getting on there though, because it has to be, you know, a notch on their belt. It gets their name out there. People are going to watch them. You know, and
it's a shame that nothing's become of Christina Aguilera since her halftime performance.
Yeah. But, you know, but are they going to say no? You know what I'm saying? Like, you ask somebody to do the show, are they going to say no? I doubt it.
There may be some out there that, oh, no, I can't be bothered or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I would think if you're being offered a 15-minute performance, you're going to get paid handsomely for.
Handsomely.
And you get that kind of exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, I mean, I don't know what the viewer, you know, what the average viewer is for the Super Bowl, but if you got, let's say 60 million people watching the Super Bowl, you know, that's a lot of people watching you sing at halftime.
And it's world. So they say worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not just North America. It's not just Canada or Mexico. You know, you have people in other countries who watch this as well.
Yeah.
So you are getting an exposure that is very unique that you're not going to get in many other circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
but to go back to, I mean, I don't know if I'm repeating myself, but it is strange that Disney hasn't had anything in those 23 years. So I'm wondering if they were just focused on other things outside of the Super Bowl, you know, whether it was the acquisition of basically every company out there. You know, like, we'll get back to the Super Bowl after we're done combining all the companies.
Well, yeah, I don't know, you know, if you know, it's definitely since ABC and ESPN did not have a stake in a Super Bowl, you know, all right, get back to us whenever it's our turn again.
Right.
And then we'll get involved then. Is it just we don't have the resources at this time to dedicate to putting this on because it is a large undertaking. Our focus is elsewhere. Is it because Party A didn't reach out to Party B? Who knows? I don't know, but I have a feeling that in the next 5 to 10 years, you will see another Disney produced Super Bowl, especially knowing that in 26, so in 3 years, that they will be coming, the Super Bowl will be on Disney's networks.
Mm-hmm.
As they are now.
They're primarily on, they rotate between what? CBS, NBC, and Fox, right? Those are the three.
Yeah.
And ABC got left out somehow.
Yeah,
right?
somehow they got kicked to the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've only had the Monday night games. They don't have the Sunday games. So it's really been rotating on this Sunday network
right
circuit. And I mean, now you have to keep in mind that Prime Video has the Thursday night game. So at some point, is that going to get pulled into the rotation? Are they going to try and work that in their next negotiation contract?
What's that, to get a Super Bowl on Prime?
Yeah.
Yeah, Prime's another one. You got to watch it. They're trying to take over the world too.
Yep. But yeah. So it's been interesting. I liked, especially with the Super Bowl coming up, and kind of taking that moment to go back and watch some of these performances from the past, and it just kind of, it's that time capsule.
Yeah.
You know, going back in time and seeing how things were, and evolving to what they became, and thinking about, like, and we were saying, in some ways they haven't been since.
Mm-hmm.
I like I said, very, you know, can't pick out too many since the 2000s of ones that watching that performance kind of just captivated me in that same way of just so much going on. It almost reminds me of the Olympics in either an opening or closing ceremony. Some of the performances that go on there that involves the entire stadium.
Mm.
It is big and grand and just got, you know, a lot of kinetic elements happening at once.
At a much grander scale, though. because you got the world watching that. Well, the world's watching Super Bowl too, mainly.
I was going to say, yeah.
But you got everybody and anybody looking at because the opening ceremonies has all the countries, right?
Well, true.
So
yeah, everyone involved in that, and then some. So, yeah. So I guess to kind of put a fine bow on it, out of those 6, which one was your favorite?
I would have to go with the 95 one. That one was I like the whole Indiana Jones theme. Ending it with the Lion King. That one caught my eye. It gave me a little bit of a chill because again, I haven't seen these things probably since then.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's something about the Lion King back. I mean, because again, I was in probably my early 20s, and I worked at the movie theater at the time that came out, and Lion King has a little space in my heart. So that I enjoyed that one out of the 6 because it's hard to get into the one from 1977 because it just looked so outdated.
It's like I say, you have to kind of give it that pass and the corrective vision on it for what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it like I said, to see how far it's come, between the Super Bowl in itself, the venue, the timing of everything, and the way it's, how much more serious it's taken now versus then. It's hard to compare them evenly, but I would have to say myself, I want to say the one from 2000, so Super Bowl 34, but I'm going to have to go with 29 as well. Was it 95 you said?
Yes.
The one with the Indiana Jones, just because of it was, like I said, because a stage show of an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
You had the bad guy, whatever he was, the helmet with the horns and the flames, and they set someone on fire, Dave. I mean, come on, they set someone on fire in the middle of it.
They didn't mess around in the 90s, man. Come on.
They really didn't mess around with that, and the changing of scenery, and it was quite something. It was quite the spectacle. It's Indiana Jones. I love Indiana Jones. So to see Indiana Jones as part of a Super Bowl halftime performance,
was cool.
and coming out of the sky. Like I'm watching it. You got the bad guy. Got the music playing. I'm like, okay, so it's Indiana Jones. Where is he going to walk in? Yeah. Oh, he's not walking in. He's parachuting in. Above the stadium.
Yeah, it's nice, man. I just hope Disney's new one, there's got to be some kind of Star Wars related act in there. They better put something in there. If they want me to watch their new one, they better put Star Wars in it.
As Kim was saying, actually, imagine what if they did an all Marvel halftime show.
Oh, that would be cool. Okay, never mind. I could sign up for something like that. Yeah.
You can do Marvel. You could do Star Wars. Yeah. There's so many options to play with. You could do a Simpson halftime show.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true. Simpsons have been around for 30-something years. What are they going to do next? Oh, let's do a halftime show with them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Yeah. But there's a lot of options that they could play with. Again, this year, being the 100th year celebration, it would have been nice. Again, they could have done something around that. But they were more... And I'm sure COVID probably had a lot to do with this because they had to prep the parks and get the things for their parks and company-wise, what they were going to celebrate, to take on something like that and dedicate resources, time, effort, talent to come up with something like that takes away from the parks and the other experiences that they are prepping and working with and doing. So...
What about the change in leadership? Would that have had anything going from Chapek, going to Chapek, and then going away from Chapek?
I can't say he didn't. I mean, that just happened. What, November? Yeah. So, is that possibly involved too? It could be, because we get the announcement at one point but the negotiations and talks have been going on for months.
Mhm.
I mean, it is quite possible that once this Super Bowl wraps, there's a team who takes a week off, and then they're right back at, okay, we're Super Bowl next year. What are we doing?
Mhm.
Okay, so they already know where it is.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, like, if Iger was still in charge, would he had pushed, for it? Like, I don't know if because we're not there, so we don't see it. So if Iger was still in charge, would he have tried to push for a Super Bowl halftime show for the 100th if he never left and Chapek came in? Is what I'm trying to say, because it might have got lost in the shuffle with the switch. And then
is it possible? Yes, because when the two that happened on ABC, Iger was part of ABC at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So is it possible? Yes, but he hasn't, since his run started, he hasn't pushed for anything.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's the precedence isn't there for him to say, yes, that's been a focus. It's something that he's want to be involved in.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, again, who knows? So.
Yeah, true. Because if he was, I think we would have had one within the last 23 years if he was, all in on a halftime show.
Yeah. We shall see. Like I said, I have a feeling in the next few years, we will see another one. It'll be either the ones that ESPN/ABC has the broadcasting rights to.
I look forward.
That's probably the main.
Yeah, I'll look forward to it. And I think it's a welcome change, because it's from the normal what's been going on. They need to. They're gonna have to change it up eventually. I would hope.
Absolutely. So here's looking, and here's to enjoying a Super Bowl Sunday of spectaculars of one sort to another.
Mm-hmm.
Either you watch the game, you watch the commercials, you watch the halftime show, or all three, or none of the above. I think that should be this weekend's poll. So I will try and get it out before Sunday. So, Dave, thank you for taking this task on to discuss. I know how difficult it is for you to discuss things like football and Super Bowls.
I don't know nothing about it, so it's very hard for me to talk about it. You had to twist my arm on this one. Sorry.
All right, sir.
Did you
again?
Did you want to discuss
yes
my travel down Doctor Who?
That's because we're talking football. Let's wrap it up with something non-football related.
Non-football,
People that don't pay attention to football are still listening.
Yeah.
So ever since our episode in January of our Q&A of Doctor Who, I want to say it was right around that time that you decided to start watching and start learning about this. So not going into too much detail.
Right.
Where did you start and where are you at now?
Okay, so I started with the 2005 to present bulk of shows, and I managed to get in all of season 1 and all of season 2. And I'm probably going to start season 3 tonight if I have time. I've gotten hooked. Thank you for giving me another show that I have to try to jam into my life.
No problem.
This, I'm pleasantly surprised. You were right. This is definitely up my alley. It's an excellent show. I don't know how I haven't watched this sooner. It's amazing. But there's all different kinds of episodes. It's not just like one even serious tone to these shows. You're gonna get a crazy episode. You'll get a more darker, like sinister episode, and you'll get the lighthearted ones. At least that's what I've seen so far in the first 2 episodes. And then I witnessed the transition from the regeneration from one doctor to the other. That took a moment to adjust, going from Eccleston to David Tennant. Right. And then but now he's grown on me. I like him. Not that I didn't like him. It was just, you had an adjustment period of the new guy.
Right.
You know.
It's like, no, but it was this guy and this, but I with this guy, and now all of a sudden, all right.
Yeah.
There is a transition. There's
Right.
always, it's always going to be a transition.
Yeah, but and then like when you look at these, because the like the Daleks or the Cybermen, like they're not the most high tech computer generated whatever. They again, the Daleks look like a rolling garbage can in a way with a plunger on it, but it's done so well that you put that to the side and you listen to the person, you listen to them speak and what they want to do, and you get sucked into it, and you're like, these characters are cool. As cheesy as they may look, they're awesome.
I mean, you have to take in mind, Terry Nation created the Daleks in 1963, 64.
Yeah.
The Daleks first appeared to us, so they haven't physically changed. They've changed some over the years, but not drastically.
Right.
Cybermen look a lot different now than when they first appeared.
Okay.
Where they first appeared as a guy in long johns with a ski mask on and some a flashlight on his head.
Right.
So they have evolved quite drastically over their time period. Mm-hmm. Where the Daleks have had some cosmetic upgrades and changes, but relatively still the same.
Right. And I do enjoy how, like, they don't beat you up overside the head with the Cybermen and the Daleks. Like, you can tell that they're kind of the reoccurring main, like, bad guys or whatever so far, anyway, from the first 2 seasons that I've seen. But the monsters of the week have been cool enough. Like, you don't need the Daleks to beat you over the head with the bee in every episode, because the other creatures of the week they're fantastic. They're interesting because, like I've told you, you see the trailer for the next episode, I think, because it's on HBO Max, so it shows you, what's coming, and you look at it and you go, I don't know if that looks silly, and then you watch it and you're like, I'm getting into this episode. So it's weird. It's very, if you're into that kind of sci-fi stuff, it's an excellent series. I can't promote it enough. But I have so many more episodes to catch up on. It's like, I'll get through it.
Well, when you're a lot further along at some point this year, we'll have to have a full recap about your journey into Doctor Who. But I'm glad so far it hasn't let you down.
No, not at all. I mean, like I said, there was those 2 episodes of the last 2 episodes of the season 2. I should have been in bed, but I just got sucked right into it. I'm like, I can't. I gotta see how this ends. So I sacrificed my sleep to watch this. Anyway, yes. So that's my season. That's my 2-season review so far.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. All right, Matthew. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, bud.
Dave, always a pleasure.
Got it.
Thank you again, Dave, for joining us. And thank you for listening. Let us know your thoughts, like I said at the beginning of the show, posing that challenge to you. Send in your messages, either online, social, or preferably voice messages, and I'll put them on the show. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/WDMagicCast. On Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, we're all at WD Magiccast, and make sure to find us on YouTube at WD Magiccast. Subscribe to the channel where you get the audio version of this show, plus some additional treats that I have posted from around the parks. You can also, like I said, leave a voice message through the Anchor app or Anchor.fm website, or record your own message. This is how, electronically on your smartphone, tablet, computer, whatever you got, and email it to us. Again, get ready for that email address. It's email@wdmagiccast.com. Try to make it nice and easy for everyone. It's email@wdmagiccast.com. You can also send us any suggestions or questions you have that way as well. Or there is a nice form on our website, which has the links to all of these, as well as a way to contact us there without having to email us. And that website is www.wdmagiccast.com. I want to thank you for your time. I know how little time you all have these days. Crazy life is. The fact that we get to spend some of this time together really means a lot to us over here at the show, and we cannot thank you enough. Please share out a link of your listening. Share a link on your social networks. This way, other people can find the show. Tell them what you think of it, and please help grow the show this way. You can also, what really helps out too, is go into Apple Podcast or Stitcher and give us a rating. We have all 5-star reviews at the moment, and keep them coming. We'll read them out on the show if you leave a review. If not, just do the 5 stars, and we would truly appreciate it. Whatever you think we deserve, but we like the 5-star ratings because it helps. Those podcatchers will help promote the show, and the more people on the show, the better. Walt believed in a big Disney family, and so do I. Don't forget to subscribe to the show while you're at it. This way you always know when new episodes are posted. While you're at it, also consider becoming a premium subscriber. Really, really help the show out. You can do this over at anchor.fm/WDMagicCast/support, where you can find our Patreon page. You can also check out our merchandise shop. Get yourself some really cool WD Magic Cast stuff. Remember, gentlemen, Valentine's is on its way. Remember, ladies, Valentine's is on its way. Get your significant other, male, female, whoever it is, some really cool WD Magic Cast stuff. It comes in a variety of colors. We got hoodies, t-shirts, pillows, tote bags, travel cups, mugs, notebooks, etc., etc., etc. All available to you on the shop. Check out, there's sales coming up too. And you support the show, and you help the show out that way as well. And you get some cool stuff out of it. It's a win-win for everyone. You can find links for these in the show notes and on the website as well. Because remember, the show is brought to you by listeners like you. Remember, in Japan, broken objects are often repaired with gold. The flaws is seen as a unique piece of the object's history, which adds to its value. Consider this the next time when you feel broken. Never give up, never give in. Be your own hero. Let your light shine for the entire world to see, because there's no one else out there like you. And that makes you special and unique and wonderful, and the world is a better place because you are in it. And I'd like to end this week's show with a quote from Walt Disney himself. I love the nostalgic myself. I hope we never lose some of the things of the past. Again, that's Walt Disney. Thank you again for listening, everyone, and I'll see you next time.